everyone, and welcome to another video from my narrowboat. If you're new here, my name is Laura. I am a kitchen witch and I live on a 48-foot narrowboat. I bring you videos about folklore, witchcraft, kitchen witchery, and just boat living and my travels and stuff if you're interested in that. Last week I made a video about how to winter like a witch, how to cope with early January, the cold, the darkness, the depressing January vibes, how to embrace that like a pagan witch and make the best of it. And in that video I mentioned that I was going to show you a ritual that I do at this time of year called the lemon. Before I get into the lemon, I have to tell you that this video is sponsored by me. It is not sponsored by a company or a brand. I actually find it very difficult to find brands that I want to partner with because I'm so picky about showing you things that I actually authentically use and enjoy. So I have to say no to about 99% of brands who approach me. If you are a brand and you're interested in partnering with me, please do get in touch, because that's not to say that I will say no to your brand. It's just that a lot of the people that approach you tend to be stuff that I just would never use and would never put my name behind, which makes it kind of difficult to do this as a job. Some might say I've got too much integrity for my own good, or certainly for my bank balance. But this particular video is sponsored by me. I have been working on a project for a few months now. I did mention to you that I've got a couple of secret projects going on in the background, one of which I can't talk about until much later in the year. But this one I can finally share with you because it's completely self-directed. I have just launched a Kickstarter. I've just launched it today and I want to raise funds to create this project that I have in mind, because I'm always getting comments on my videos, especially videos on Instagram where I mostly share my recipes and my kitchen witchery. The comment that I'm constantly getting is, where can we get these recipes? I do share a lot of them online, but I think people want more of a collection of recipes, somewhere that they can have them all in one place. But I wanted to do something a little bit different, something that encompassed my interest in art, because in a former life I was an artist, I was an illustrator, and I really wanted to reignite my passion for illustration and bring it into what I do here on this channel and elsewhere. So today I am launching the Witchy Kitchen tarot deck, which is much more than just a tarot deck. It is a collection of recipes. There are 78 tarot cards in a full deck, and I am going to be doing an illustration for every single one of those cards, so it's a full deck. For each card I will take the concept, the meaning, the wisdom and the teachings behind the card that you've drawn and correspond it with a magical ingredient based on the folklore, the magical properties, and it will also have a recipe to go along with that. So few examples: the judgment card, which is very much to do with fairness, legal matters, that kind of thing. I'm partnering that with marigold because the folklore and magical properties of marigold is exactly that. It's very connected to legal matters and fairness and judgment. As you can imagine, this project is taking so much research because it's not just a recipe collection and it's not just a tarot set, it's both in one. It is very challenging to put those things together, but I think this project, the work that I've done on it so far, I know it's gonna work. I know. I'm so excited about it, because when you do tarot and you do draw a card, it can be very difficult to take the path that it is showing, that it's illuminating to you, and actually sew it into any kind of practical teaching in your life. Through the storytelling of the recipe, through the storytelling of the folklore behind the ingredient, it really puts practical weight and cognizance to the thing that you're being shown. I've talked about this in the last video. You might be coming at it from a point of view that the cards simply illuminate a path for you to follow. They're about introspection, they're about showing you what you already know. Some people believe that the cards are straight up fortune telling. That's not my personal belief, but I think there's so many ways to use tarot cards, even if you're not that woo-woo, even if you're not on the woo-woo side of things. So it's a tool for education because it teaches you the folklore behind some of the most used ingredients and fruits and flowers, and the recipes included are super simple. A lot of them are brews, teas, moon milk. So yeah, it's just a really interactive way for you to have a collection of recipes. And hey, if you don't know what to eat one day, you can just pull a card. So I have left the link down below for you to take part in the Kickstarter and fund the project, or just share it you know, if you don't want to fund it, if you're not interested in having a set of cards yourself, I'm sure you probably know someone who is. If you share it with your community, that is the most helpful thing to me. I know that the financial goal for the set of cards is ambitious. The reason why it's ambitious is that stuff like this does take a lot of money. It's going to take me months and months to complete this project because I am just a one-man band. I'm doing all of the research, all of the writing, all of the recipe testing and development, and all of the illustration as well. It would actually have cost more if I was paying other people. I just want it to be the absolute highest standard that I possibly can produce. I don't want to do things on the cheap. I'm having it printed in England. It's going to be risograph printed, which I don't know if you've ever seen risograph printing, but it's the most gorgeous printing. I did a risograph course a couple of years ago and just absolutely fell in love with how these prints come out. But because of the nature of how risograph works, I will also have to have the paper satin laminated for you to be able to hold it with your hands without it getting like damaged or dirty. So yeah, I am so excited about that project. And right now on launch day, I also have a special priced early bird version of the deck. I know you've come here for the lemon, but just open the link below in another tab. You can come back to it later after we've gone through the video of the ritual. I have never once asked any of my followers to support me in any kind of financial way. I don't have a Patreon. I don't even have a buy me a coffee anymore. I used to, but I want to give value back as much as I can. And as much as, you know, all of the information that I put into my videos, and I put a lot of work into my videos and my recipes, and I give all of it away for free. If you've enjoyed anything that I do and you want more of it in a really lovely, like beautifully packaged kind of way, now is your chance. And if it doesn't get funded, it's not going to happen, is the thing. Kickstarter doesn't work like you just keep whatever you raise. If I don't reach my goal, unfortunately, I just simply won't be able to produce it for any less than that, because it is going to take me months to complete it, and I need to be able to eat and live while I do that. If you do want a pack, the best thing to do is to do it now and to also share the project, because if it doesn't get funded, you won't get that pack. It just won't exist. This project will disappear, and I will be so sad if that happens. Anyway, sponsorship over. Let's get down to the lemon. Before I get into exactly how the lemon works and what you need to do, I just want to go through a few notes on ritual in general, because you might be very new to the concept of ritual. I know there's some people who watch me who are very into the witchcraft side of things. You know, I get a lot of comments and messages from people who are pagan or have been for very many years, or, you know, you're into Wicca or you're into manifestation or whatever it might be. You're open-minded, you are my people. But there's also a lot of people who are ritual curious or witchcraft curious. I want to explain how this works, because this is the first time that I've put a really elaborate ritual online, and I know for some people it's going to sound a bit mad. But so many cultures on earth, so many religions, so many even modern day practices are ritual based. The modern world has witnessed a gradual erosion of ritualistic practices, particularly in the wake of secularism and individualism, and of course technical advancement. One thing that I always mention is that you are 4 times more likely to reach a goal if you write it down handwritten. Every day that I write my to-do list, I write it with my hand, with a pen, because you're more likely to achieve it. My belief is that it's, if you bring an idea into the physical realm in some kind of way, it's already halfway to happening. It's already physical. Our societies have become very concerned with rationalizing things and materialism. So these sort of traditional rituals or symbolic acts that once had a sense of meaning and purpose have kind of fallen by the wayside. Handwriting things doesn't really exist anymore. We do everything on our phones and our computers. We type. Nothing physically exists. Most people don't have a physical calendar or even a notebook. But in contrast to that, I think people are desperate for something real. From a psychological perspective, I believe that rituals tap into the subconscious, enabling individuals to engage with deeper archetypes, personal symbols, and transformative processes. And I think There's so many different versions of this out there. I have chosen the vehicle of witchcraft and paganism. It's my own meandering path that anchors me, it grounds me. But some people follow Carl Jung, some people follow meditation, mindfulness, a form of manifestation. And a lot of these ideas do coalesce. I'm of the belief that the stock market is kind of a form of witchcraft, but we won't get into that right now. In this sense, rituals have become transformative acts allowing individuals to move between the ordinary and extraordinary. Through really simple practices, we can find an antidote to the fragmentation of modern life. These are spaces where we can reconnect with ourselves and reconnect with each other. I think one thing that I find when I talk about rituals is that people misinterpret ritual as being a repetitive act. I think that especially because I use the phrase rituals, not habits, and therefore people think that I am simply swapping one thing in for another. And rituals can be that. They can be a repetitive thing that you do every single day, just in a different way to how you might exercise a habit. But for me, they serve a much deeper psychological practice. This ritual in particular, the lemon, is something that I am going to do every single year. I did it for the first time last year. I created the ritual. It's an ongoing practice. But rituals for me are also about ceremony. They are a commitment to yourself. At their core, rituals help structure our experiences, creating a sense of order and predictability in a world that can feel unpredictable. These rituals are anchors offering stability and a way to process emotions and experiences. The whole concept of the lemon is about transformation. Who you are right now is going to be very different to who you are in a year's time. It's not something that happens overnight. It is a process, but is the first step on a long process, a long journey to transforming yourself and your life. Transformation facilitates the process of healing, self-discovery, and spiritual growth. In many religious and spiritual systems, transformation is the central goal, whether it's a transformative journey from ignorance to enlightenment, illness to health, or chaos to order. In witchcraft, these rituals are often framed as a journey to self-discovery, self-transformation, and personal empowerment. My sort of framing is that you're not asking the universe to provide you with something. What you're trying to do is commit yourself to your own personal transformation. You can change your entire world by changing yourself. This provides a slow down centering of oneself, a re-establishment of the connection to both the present moment and the larger metaphysical world. I would love to do an entire video dedicated to the idea of my philosophy, which is rituals, not habits. Please let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do that, because I'd love to explain step by step with, examples exactly what I mean by rituals, not habits. Now, as for the lemon, this is the first step in your transformation process. If you watched my last video, you should have taken time in January in the stillness of winter to really contemplate and think about what you want to change in 2025, how you want to transform yourself. The more individually tailored this is, the more specific this is, the better it will work. Being vague about what we want in life is not going to produce results. What I will say is that your desire for something is evidence that it can exist. There is a world in which it does exist. There's a reason why you want that thing, and it's because you already have it. You just need to unlock the way to get it. So I did the lemon last year on In Bulk. The reason why I wanted to put this video out before In Bulk is so that we could all prepare ourselves to do it on In Bulk. The more people who are doing it all at one time, that collective power is an important part of the ritual. However, if you're watching this video post In Bulk, there are multiple different opportunities for good timing for you to do this ritual. I think the best time to do it would be on a new moon or a waxing crescent. So I'm going to put the dates on the screen now for the next few months when that would be best applicable. But if you are watching this video before In Bulk, share it so that we can have as many people doing it on In Bulk as possible. I think it will be the most powerful on the 1st of February on In Bulk. But if you've missed that, it doesn't mean that you've missed your opportunity. Witchcraft and magic and manifestation is all about intention after all. And if you can get a coven together and you can do it in a group, all the better, but you don't have to. My aim aim with this channel, my aim with everything that I do, is that people who aren't necessarily witchy or woo-woo or into these kind of things, they find a gateway to use ritual to help them. This isn't just for people who consider themselves to be spiritual, it's for anyone. If you kind of know the psychological aspects behind it, then you can come at it from a rational point of view. There's no reason to believe in anything other than human psychology. There will be people watching who do believe in the spiritual aspect of things. Maybe they straight up believe in magic as not so much a psychological concept, but manifestation from the universe. That is all fine. I think that's another thing that I love about my perspective on these things, is that there's no judgment. You can believe whatever you want to believe. I've witnessed it work for people at both ends of the scale. People who are completely gone and woo-woo, all the way down to people who are completely skeptical about any kind of spiritualism at all. It can be beneficial for everyone. Is it a placebo? Is it real? Who cares? My whole thing is, if it works, it works. Well-prepared and purpose-driven rituals bring about meaningful change, both personally and societally. I was in New York recently, and one of the places that I visited was Wall Street. Now, the reason that I went to Wall Street is because of a very special ritual that took place there. It was here on Halloween of 1968 that the Women's International Conspiracy Terrorist Organisation from Hell, or Witch for short, met to protest the New York Stock Exchange. Their reasoning is that they believed that the patriarchy and the oppression of women was connected purely to capitalism, and so they came here dressed in full Wicked Witch regalia, pointy hats, broomsticks, capes, and they led a protest. And the next day, the stock market fell by 13 points. That's not to say that it was purely an act of magic, but let's face it, sometimes the stock market does feel like it is just a rich man's astrology column, and it really demonstrates the power of superstition, if nothing else. Symbols are something that are quite integral to every single ritual, be it sigils, writing, or just the symbolic nature of the tools that you're using, the ingredients that you're using, the incense, the colours. Everything that we're going to use during the ritual makes an abstract concept tangible. I will go through the specifics of the ingredients and the symbolism of them in part 3, but the basic premise of using symbolism, it all adds to the elaborate nature of the ritual. The more complicated you make it, the more memorable it will be. And again, we see this in lots of different cultures. Burning sage to cleanse the space, for example, breaking plates at weddings to symbolize letting go. We use symbolism day in, day out without even realizing it. Any kind of intention setting helps you clarify. Like I said in part 1, it's really easy to get what you want, it's really difficult to know what you want. Just the task of setting your mind to actually thinking about that, writing it down, making it clear, being specific about what you want to change or release, that brings you halfway to getting it. The most difficult thing when performing any kind of ceremony or ritual is feeling silly, I think. The thing is, if you feel silly doing it, that's okay. It's one reason why I do ritual work more often than spell work. The difference being that spell work, you look at the etymology of the word spell, even spelling, spell work is about words. That's why I tend to characterize what I do more as a ritual than a spell. I don't tend to speak any words out loud because I feel silly doing it. Not everybody will. Some people have be much better at stuff like that than me. I've just found that I've never really been able to get over that hurdle of feeling silly saying words out loud. So I don't really utilize it because there's no point forcing myself to do something that doesn't really feel comfortable for me. I get enough just from the symbolic act of the ritual, just from writing things down. I don't really feel the need to say things out loud. And that for me is the difference between a ritual and a spell. And that's the hardest thing to overcome. Feeling skeptical, feeling silly, feeling self-conscious. The key is just to approach it with openness and curiosity. If there is a particular part of the ritual that doesn't really suit you or doesn't speak to you, you can just not use it. You can amend these things. What I would suggest is doing a grounding meditation before you start the ritual. You can have fun with it, but it should be taken seriously as well. There is no wrong and right way to do it. It's all about your intention. Before we begin, let's gather the materials you'll need and take a moment to understand the significance of each item. This ritual is not just about the steps, but the intention behind every choice, so let's go over them thoughtfully. 3 unwaxed lemons, symbolizing transformation, cleansing, and clarity. These will serve as the vessels for your intentions. Salt, a purifying and protective agent to cleanse both the lemons and the space. If you've made moon water, this will heighten the ritual's connection to the celestial cycles, representing renewal and balance. A knife or a peeler for careful preparation, symbolizing the act of precision and cutting away what no longer serves you. 3 pieces of beautiful paper in matching envelopes, representing the care and effort you'll invest in manifesting your goals. A candle. Choose a color that corresponds to your long-term intentions. This could be green for prosperity, white for health and protection, black for banishing, or use a white candle as a versatile stand-in for any other color. Incense. Again, choose a scent that corresponds to your goals. Frankincense, sandalwood, or cedarwood are great options to cover all. 3 bay leaves, 1 for each lemon, representing the manifestation you wish to bring forth. Maple syrup, for sweetness and attraction. Peppercorns, for speed. Chili, for power and energy. 3 sprigs of rosemary, for wisdom and remembrance. 3 sprigs of thyme, for protection. A clean and sterile glass jar. This will be the container for your preserved lemons and intentions. And the juice of 5 or 6 additional lemons, enough to submerge your preserved lemons. Each item plays a role in anchoring your focus and energy into the ritual, so take care in selecting and preparing them. 24 hours before you perform the ritual, you will need to prepare your lemons. Take your 3 lemons and wash them thoroughly. If you've made moon water, now is the time to use it in a bowl, scrubbing with salt to remove any lingering energy or impurities. Once clean, rinse them under running water and dry them thoroughly. Carefully peel a strip of rind from each lemon and set these strips aside for later. Next, trim the tops and bottoms of each lemon and cut a deep cross into them. Place them in a bowl and cover generously with salt, ensuring the salt penetrates the flesh. Cover the bowl and place it in the fridge overnight. This process symbolically clears the lemons, making them receptive vessels for your goals. The first step in the ritual is opening the circle. This marks the beginning of setting your intention. You'll want to find a quiet, peaceful space where you won't be disturbed. You may choose some gentle music or to adjust the lighting, and meditate for a few minutes to ground yourself before you begin. To formally open the circle, light your candle. As you do, focus your mind on the present moment. If you've chosen a coloured candle, hold the intention that's in the energy of the colour and align it with your long-term goals. Next, light your incense. Let the fragrant smoke rise and imagine it carrying away distractions and negativity, leaving behind only clarity and focus. With your circle opened, you are ready to begin. Take your 3 pieces of paper and envelopes. I really recommend using paper that is decorated, textured, or beautiful in some way rather than bog standard office supplies. Each choice you make should be carefully considered and reflect the effort in which you intend to put into achieving your goals. Things don't just happen, we make them happen with our choices. The first piece of paper represents where you will be in a year's time. Write yourself a letter as though it were 1 year from today. Explain what has happened through the lens of having achieved your goals that you wish to set for the year. This could be having a new job, a new home, having recovered from mental stress or financial difficulty. It may have been working through a toxic relationship or easing yourself from grief or guilt. Whatever you wish for the coming year, write as though it has already been achieved. Really focus on being specific, on how it happened and how it feels. It is good to be as elaborate and detailed as possible. Once you have finished, fold one of your lemon rinds into the paper and put it in the envelope. Use drips of wax from your candle to seal it. You can even use a wax seal if you have one, and write 1 year on the envelope. You will be opening this letter in 1 year's time. Take 1 bay leaf and write the number 1 onto it. Put this bay leaf inside the cross section of one of your lemons and add the lemon into a clean and sterile glass jar. Feel free to use a food-safe pen if you wish. The amount of ink that leaches into the food is so minimal in these rituals that I never bother to do that myself, but I do get asked all the time what I use to write on the bay leaves. You will then repeat this process with the second piece of paper. This letter is for your 5-year goals. They can be larger, more ambitious dreams, such as starting a business, deepening a relationship, or achieving personal growth. Again, be as vivid and specific as possible. Seal the letter with wax and mark it with 5 years. Write the number 5 on the second bay leaf and place it in another lemon. Add this to the jar. Your third letter represents 10 years from now. This is your long-term legacy vision. Imagine the life that you want to create for yourself. Envision it to its fullest. Write every detail and intention, imagining this as a milestone moment. Once you are satisfied, seal it with wax, mark it with 10 years, and follow the same process with the final bay leaf and lemon. With all 3 lemons in the jar, add half a cup of maple to attract positivity and sweetness. Add the peppercorns for speed, rosemary sprigs for wisdom, and chili for power. Squeeze the juice of 5 or 6 lemons, enough to completely submerge the lemons in the jar. Seal the jar tightly and place in the fridge. You will leave this jar to ferment for 3 weeks. After this time, the preserved lemons will be ready to use. These lemons will last up to 6 months in the fridge, and you'll be incorporating them into your cooking to serve as a ritual habit, reminding you of the goals and keeping you aligned with your intentions. This ritual is for long-term prosperity, and so the longevity of the ritual must reflect this. Once you are satisfied with your jar preparation and the intentions that you have set, blow out the candle to signify closing the circle. Take a moment to express gratitude for the space, the ingredients, and the intentions. And that's it. That is the lemon. So these lemons, after 3 weeks in the fridge, will be ready. So much punchy flavour in them. And the point of the lemon, because as you will see, I'm covered in lemon juice, like you should smell it in here. It's so lemony. Across the next 6 months, because this will last around 6 months, I want you to use these preserved lemons in dishes, in tagines, in marinades, in salads, even smoothies. I'd say use them at least once a week, because although the goals that we've specifically written, we're probably going to forget what we've written in here. But every time you use your lemons, you're recentering yourself, refocusing yourself on your goals subconsciously and on your intentions. The smell, the taste of the lemons will bring you back to this moment when you're making a commitment to yourself for transformation, for change, for any intentions that you've set. So you will eventually get to a point where you're opening new letters like every single year if you keep doing this year on year. But I think that's okay. It's interesting to look back and see what it is that we wanted for ourselves 5 years ago and how that can develop and change. So yeah, that is the lemon. And I am going to be showing you a few recipes to use your preserved lemons in throughout the year. So if you're interested in seeing some ways to use it, please subscribe. And the good thing about the lemon is that you can use it in recipes that are also kitchen witchery, and it just adds power to that. Say the main focus in your intentions for the year is about prosperity and money. You can make a dish that is also a money spell and add your lemons to it, and it just recenters you back to your intentions. Thank you so much for watching one of my videos. I really do appreciate it. I can't tell you how much. It's lovely to have you here, and I read every single comment. I love the community that we're building around this philosophy, around the ideas that I have and the things that I do. Obviously, it's not all coming from me. It's coming from a lot of pagan practices and practitioners who've led the way before me. But I do try and come up with rituals that are completely unique and original, and I try and think carefully about how they will intersect between the woo-woo side of things and the rational side of things, because like I say, my main aim is that I want everybody to be able to benefit from rituals and from doing these kind of things. And we're all just gonna have to get over feeling silly about it, because it really worked for me. I did the lemon this time last year and it completely changed my life. My life is so different now to where it was this time last year. I have read the letter, and yeah, pretty much everything that I'd written down happened. So I'm not saying it's magic, but if it works. And finally, if you are interested in the Ritual Kitchen tarot deck and recipe collection, I'm leaving the link below. Like I say, it is a Kickstarter. If it doesn't get funded, it won't happen as a project, because I won't be able to produce it for any less than the costs that I've got on there. So although it is ambitious, trust me, I know that it's ambitious, I just don't have the time to do it without your support. I'm promoting it on YouTube first, so those early bird decks, you've got first dibs on them. Thank you again, and have a lovely week. I do intend to see you this time next week, so let me know in the comments if there's something specific or in particular that you would like to see from me. And this was a practice run of the lemon. I'm going to be doing a proper elaborate version of the lemon where I'm not filming it, because it's very difficult to get myself in the zone if I'm filming it. But I'm going to be doing my own private version of the lemon on In Bulk. So let's all do it together, and I will see you very soon.